Good morning, dear pupils. Today we are going to start our third unit together. And before I give you the title of the unit, we need to have a unit introduction first, and you are going to give me the title of our unit. I have given you here a picture. I would like you to look at it and try to describe what can you see. So we can see here the earth. Let's say it's happy, it's beautiful. You can see here the verdure of nature. The bird is flying. You can see here the waterfall. Oh my God, it's beautiful earth. But wait a second. Do you think that we are really living on this beautiful earth? Unfortunately, no. The earth is suffering from different problems. Of course, one of the major problems that our environment is facing or our world is facing is pollution. So what are we doing to the earth? You know that the animals were safe, the water was much, and the air we breathe was fresh. How about today? I would like you to look at the first picture. So we can see that everyday factories release huge amounts of fumes into the air, and as a result the air is polluted and even toxic because it contains poisonous chemicals, of course found in the smoke and fumes. Now we move to the second picture. Oh my God, you can see here that the land is dirty. Litter is everywhere. We all know that people often discharge waste and waste does not go away. The landfills are polluting our land where we grow our food. Besides, you know that this is going to be harmful for human beings for sure. So, who do you think is responsible for this huge problem? Of course, a human being. You know that human beings are responsible for all the pollution or, let's say, the damage caused to our environment. People who do all this do not realize the negative impacts of their action. They think that the earth will bear all this without complaining. But what do you think? What should we do to our earth? We need to help it in order to survive and, of course, in order for us to be healthier. You know that our animals, look at the animals, are also in danger of extinction. They are also suffering. You can see here the birds are stuck in the oil, and of course, when we say stuck, that means that they can't move because of the oil spill in the sea. Water is also polluted. So you can see here that in the past, our planet was clean, beautiful, green, etc. But now is suffering, and of course, it's time for us to care for our angry Earth, which is not fine at all. It's time to stop our dangerous everyday actions to have a better life. It's time to think of the next generations. If we don't do something to save the planet, we will of course lose it forever. So let's cooperate to do something to save our dear planet, to save the world, because beautiful world starts with you and me. And you can see here that the title of our third unit is Back to Nature, and the main elements that we are going to tackle in this unit: environment, pollution, the world of animals. Now we move to our first lesson, or let's say the first sequence, which is listening and speaking. Dear pupils, I would like you to take your national books page and open your books on page 140 and 41 so that you can follow with me, of course. Let's move on. So we start by the pre-listening phase. So here we are going to start our lesson with a picture. I would like you to look at the picture and tell me what is it or what does it represent. Now here we can see the world map, okay, representing the different climate areas. Okay, so our first question here, look at the map and answer the questions below. So first question is, say the names of the climate areas in the map in your own language. So the first one is polar. How do we say polar in our mother tongue? So of course our mother tongue is Arabic, so we will try to use some of the words in Arabic for sure, translate them in Arabic. So how do we say polar in Arabic? Of course we say قطبي. We move to the second one, tundra. How do we say tundra in Arabic? In Arabic we say it's the same one, we say tundra. Okay, moving to the third one, cool temperature. How do we say cool temperature in Arabic? Of course we say المناخ البارد. Moving to the fourth one, warm temperature. We say المناخ المعتدل. Next, we say mountain. Normally you all know what we mean by mountain, which is مناخ جبلي. Next, we say desert. Of course, desert, that means مناخ صحراوي. Moving to monsoon, which is مناخ موسمي. Next, we have tropical, and here maybe it's not clear enough for you, وهو المناخ الاستوائي. Moving to question B. What is the source of the world climate above? Of course, the source of the world climate is, you can see here, world climate areas, source www.worldclimate.com. Okay, now we move to C. Identify the types of climate areas which you have in Algeria and in your region. So the different climate areas that we have in Algeria, first we have warm temperature. Of course, warm temperature وهو المناخ المعتدل. Alright, desert, مناخ صحراوي, because we have the desert of Algeria, moving south Algeria. Moving to question D, identify on the map the climate areas where you have rainforests. Of course, the type of climate where there are rainforests is the tropical climate, المناخ الاستوائي. Now we move to activity 2. Of course, before we answer the questions in activity 2, I would like you to look at the following video and then we discuss about the questions.
Earthquake. The earthquake is shaking the ground. Rumbling and tumbling, shaking and quaking. Hurricane. The hurricane is blowing in from the sea. Blowing and pouring, blowing and pouring. Tornado. The tornado is twisting across the prairie. Twirling and whirling, twisting and turning. Thunderstorm. The thunderstorm is lighting up the dark forest. Flashing, cracking, striking, rumbling. Flood. The jeep is pushing through the flood. Pouring, flowing, rushing.
So tell me, what does the following video speak about? So you can see that among the problems that our environment is facing, natural disasters. So we say natural disasters or natural catastrophes. We recapitulate some of them together. So here we start by blizzard. What is a blizzard? Of course, it is a violent and heavy snow storm. Moving to drought, it is out of a long period of dry weather. You can see here that the land is becoming a desert. Moving to earthquake, it is a sudden movement of the earth surface when the earth is having a sudden movement, shaking of the ground. Moving to flood, which is inundation, of course, caused by overflowing of water. Moving to hurricane, which is a violent windstorm. Sandstorm, it is a violent wind carrying sand. You can see here. Next, moving to tsunami, which is a huge tide caused by shock of waves following an earthquake. All right. So, what do you think that, or let's say, which ones are most likely to affect our country? Of course, I'm talking about these natural disasters. So, you can see here, of course, in Algeria, we may not have blizzard. We cannot have tsunami and we cannot have hurricane. So the possible disasters that are likely to happen in Algeria are drought, earthquake, flood, and tsunami. You may ask the question why, because we may say that drought can affect our country because it has a desert climate, especially in the south. When we say earthquakes, because the north of Algeria is situated in a seismic zone for sure. When we say sandstorm, it can affect our country because of the desert climate, and when we say floods, because of sudden and heavy rainfalls in autumn, and this is what we are facing in Algeria. Now we are going to move to activity 3. Do you think that the world climate is changing? Of course, yes, it is changing. There is less rain than the previous years, and the climate is becoming hotter and warmer. And of course, the main reason is global warming caused by the increasing volume of carbon dioxide in the air. When we say global warming, the globe, the world, the earth is getting hotter. That means warmer. And this is, of course, due to the carbon dioxide. And when we say carbon dioxide, it is CO2 in the air, of course. Now we're going to move to the during listening phase. You can open your books on page 141. Before we're going to move to the task, of course, I would like you to look at the following picture, which represents global warming. Okay, of course, the Earth is suffering because it's becoming warmer and because of the CO2 gas emissions, of course. So, now I'm going to read an interview between Robert and Mike, who is the interviewee. He is a climate specialist. Okay, I would like you to listen carefully to the dialogue, and then you are going to do the following task. So listen and take the right answer. The sea level will. You choose the appropriate answer for each column. Take few seconds to read the task, and then you start listening. Okay, you may have a pause, read the task carefully, and then start listening to the interview. So I'm going to start the interview. So Robert, this is Back to Nature. I'm Robert Kidman. We are at here given the number, and on the line with us from Madison is Mike Richards, a climate specialist. Mike Richards, how are you? Mike, fabulous, thanks for asking. Robert, everybody is worried about high temperatures these days. My question then is our climate really changing? Mike, there is no doubt that all our climate is changing. The earth is getting warmer. Our studies show that 4 years out of the last 10 have been the hottest since records began. The cause is carbon dioxide in the air. Its volume has increased a lot because the burning of oil, coal, and wood. This carbon dioxide has enveloped the earth in a sort of a greenhouse. You know, the type of plastic houses where farmers grow vegetables. This greenhouse traps the heat from the sun. It does not let it go out, so the temperature will continue to rise if we don't reduce carbon dioxide emissions. And we believe that within the next 100 years or so, the Earth will have heated up by 4 degrees. Yes, our climate is rapidly changing. Robert, but what will happen if the climate really changes? A lot of things will happen. You know, if the earth gets hotter, the glaciers will melt, and if the glaciers melt, the volume of the water in the seas will increase, and the level of the seawater will rise. This will cause flooding. As a result, vast areas of the Indian coast, Bangladesh, Holland, and even London will be underwater. Robert, are there any other effects you haven't mentioned? Mike, I'm afraid there are many other effects. For example, if the climate changes, the direction of the winds and rainfall will change. Some regions will have more storms. These storms will destroy crops, houses, and will kill a lot of people. On the contrary, vast areas of the world, the United States of America and Russia, Africa, will suffer from lack of rain. This lack of rain, I mean the drought, can transform these areas into deserts. As a result, we will have less food to eat and less water to drink. This is why we scientists are raising the alarm about the global warming, which is really a question of life and death to us human beings. Now, since you have heard the listening script, now we can move to the correction. So, the sea level will, of course, rise. The food producing areas will become a desert. The temperatures will go up, and the coastal areas will be underwater. Now we move to task 4, page 141. Which gas is responsible for global warming? And of course, before answering the questions, I would like you to listen to the listening script one more time so that you can answer correctly. The first question, as I said, which gas is responsible for global warming? So the gas which is responsible for global warming is carbon dioxide. Question B. To what does Mike Richards compare the accumulation of this gas around the Earth? Of course, he compares it to a greenhouse. It is a type of plastic house where farmers grow vegetables. Moving to C, why is it called so? That means, why does he call it like a greenhouse effect? Okay, so it is called so because carbon dioxide, okay, CO2 traps the heat from the sun just like a greenhouse. You can look at the picture that you have in page 141. Moving to D, how can we reduce high temperatures? We can reduce the high temperatures by reducing the volume of CO2 emissions for sure. Moving to the last question, is the climate specialist worried or indifferent about the climate change? Pick out from the interview words and phrases that indicate this his attitude. The climate specialist is really worried about the climate change. Evidence from the interview, as he said, everybody is worried about high temperatures these days. Scientists are raising the alarm about global warming, and of course he also said that it is a question of life and death to us humans or human being. Now we are going to move to the past listening phase. After you listen, reorder the following sentences to have a coherent paragraph. So the first one, it is a major respect for climate change. Two, but more accurately, global warming is the mainly human-caused increase in global surface temperatures and its projected continuation. Global warming is the long-term rise in the average temperature of the Earth's climate system. Next, climate change and global warming are often used interchangeably. While climate change includes both global warming and its effects, global warming is not new, but its effects showed in the 90s. Okay, I would like you to make a pause, try to do the task, and let's do the correction together. Global warming is the long-term rise in the average temperature of the Earth's climate system. It's a major aspect of climate change, and climate change and global warming are often used interchangeably. That means when we say climate change, it's also we are emphasizing on the fact of global warming, that the Earth is becoming warmer due to CO2 gas emissions in the air. That means air is polluted. But more accurately, global warming is the mainly human caused. Of course, who is responsible for global warming? Mainly, we are talking about human beings. Okay, a human-caused increase in global surface temperature and its projected continuation, while climate change includes both global warming and its effects. Let me finish reading and then I'm going to explain. Global warming is not new for sure, but its effects showed in the 1990s. When we say global warming and climate change, here we can use the words interchangeably, but there is a slight difference when we say global warming and climate change. When we say global warming, that means that there is an increase in the surface temperature. That means the Earth is getting warmer. That means it's getting hotter due to the gas emission. When we say climate change, it includes global warming and includes the effects, the negative consequences of global warming. Okay, and of course there are serious risks on human health. Let's say we have skin cancer, lung disease, etc. So, dear students, hope the lesson of today was clear enough for you. Of course, if you have any questions, I would like you to comment down this video. Goodbye, see you next time.